Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Today on a REVO perspective, we have a new question, right? And the question is, first, it comes from the queen of Honor Thyself community. Um, she asked the question, so this is where we get the question from. How do you know if two people are fit for marriage or a lasting union? That's a valid question. Let me say it again. How do you know if two people are fit for marriage or a lasting union? So when I look at marriage and I look at lasting union, which is important along with the two people, all right? So you have two people, and how do you know if they're fit for marriage and a lasting union? And it should depend on each individual's personal definition of what marriage and a lasting union is to them. What's your definition of a lasting union? You will get an answer, right? And they just have to be completely honest, right? Because it's more than just words. You have to exhibit actions and behavior of what those words are, right? So you'll ask Tammy, same thing. What is your personal definition of marriage? What is your personal definition of a lasting union? And she will have to be honest, right? And you will have those definitions on the table. And then maybe after that, you start to discuss Tammy and Peter start to discuss the individual experiences of being married. Do they have any experience in it? Either one of them. Do they have any experiences in being in a lasting union? Right? Just have an open discussion about that. Just share the perspectives without judgment, without ridicule, without bias, and being objective. You are there just to learn specifically about that person's individual experiences before they met you. You're just listening and understanding, listening, taking notes, right? And then you will want to know from each individual, Peter and Tammy, you will want to know what were the results of that marriage you were in, if you had one. What was the results of that lasting union, if you ever had one? And what can be proven with actual factual evidence? You just can't have people just having a bunch of words, that's only being told from just their point of view. Okay? So you have to have actual evidence, not just words, but something that each individual can actually look and study. Now, a lot of people look at that and be like, man, that is a lot. Well, when you look at marriage, you look at a lasting union, maybe that's some of the things that need to be discussed before people start giving their lives to each other. Right? Don't you think? Don't you think your life is worth that? Those questions? That ain't even a lot of questions. I think if you get the answers to those questions right there, your whole perspective of that other individual will instantly change. You'll go deeper into to that person's thought process, of how they intend to treat you. If Peter and Tammy did that, they will have a new, different perspective of each other. All right, so one guy commented, and Teddy Jacobs, he commented, he said, when a couple can't live without each other, they wake up and go to sleep thinking of one another. When I hurt, you hurt. If I'm in need, we both have each other's backs. But none of this works if the finances are not right. You must be financially able to take on the everyday necessities of life. Put all that together and have respect and loyalty towards one another. Woman be his peace, man be that provider, and that's the recipe for a great marriage, equally yoked. Now, when you hear that's eloquent, right? You know what I mean? The average person in the world will look at that and be like, wow, that's what I want. But you do not hear him talk anything about God. And everything he just said, everything I just said, it was verbatim. You never seen God in there. You never seen the God-given purpose of what is the reason why each individual is on this planet. Because that work right there comes before the relationship, or was there before individuals even met each other. Nobody seems to talk about God in the marriages like that no more. A lot of people think they are God, and they're on that type of level and everything like that. But these individuals are not the source of the energy. They're not the source of godly energy. None of them. Who say they are God, they'll tell you that. Even the ones who say they are God looks to something higher than them, right? To power their soul to be what it is they need to be in the world, right? So they're not the source. There is a source, right? So they're not even talking about the godly source of energy that is going to be required and needed in order to have a lasting union, right? Or have a marriage. You have to have God in the marriage, right? You have to have God in the lasting union some way, somehow, right? I'm thinking, has any relationships or any marriages, I should say, or lasting unions ever last life's obstacles and perils and things like that without God inside the relationship? Is there any evidence of it? If there is, I definitely want to be able to see it. I'll learn from it. So there's no talk of God. There's always, when I see people talk about marriage, when I see people talk about relationships, when I see people talk about lasting unions, it's always an individual based. It's always somebody wants something from somebody else that they don't already have. Right? So when you hear somebody say when a couple can't live without each other, that means that couple is codependent on each other. Should you ever be codependent on another person? Should you be able to live by yourself without another person? Should you be happy to live by yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, be around your own soul every day, and find beauty in that, where you don't have to seek out another person to be able to feel complete as a human being? That right there would be important before you get into a marriage and lasting union. I think a human being should be able to do that. You should be able to live by yourself for a while and be able to provide for yourself, because that's the point of knowledge of self. That's the point of what we call my over here, master yourself. They wake up and go to sleep thinking of one another. Then again, a human comes before the God-given purpose. The human comes before the mission. Now, this is just Teddy Jacobs' perspective, right? You know what I'm saying? This is not everybody's perspective in the world. This is just examining, analyzing one male's perspective on that question, right? So he says, wake up and go to sleep thinking of one another. But you don't wake up and go to sleep thinking about God. You don't wake up and go to sleep thinking about your God-given purpose and what you need to go ahead and do. You wake up and think about another human being. That's interesting.